7 months and 10 days later, we finally have some clarity on the Tom Brady ordeal. He will be suspended for the first 4 games of this NFL season. Maybe. This is Young Speak Sports here, and we're bringing another podcast to you. Mainly NFL stuff this week, although there's some baseball deadlines, trade deadlines going on. A lot of our guys are on vacation this week. They kind of backed out on us for some reason, but we have some special guests here this week, and we're going to mainly focus about the NFL as it's starting to get kicked off here with training camp starting, and we're just getting into the swing of it, and we're getting really excited. So we're going to talk about Deflategate this week, which is really the big topic at hand. We're going to focus a lot about that. Also, we're going to talk about Le'Veon Bell being his suspension being reduced from 3 games to 2 games. Adrian Peterson came out and projected that he was going to rush for 2,500 yards this year. Also, Sheldon Richardson today just got charged on a speeding fine, a speeding where he was going 143 miles per hour, as well as he had a 12-year-old in his car. So we're going to look at that situation and some of the ramifications there. Also, NFL injuries to some young rookies and some other big players going onto the PUP list. So we'll look at that effect as well. And then lastly, we'll finish off here with our off topic for the week, which is based off of John Smoltz's Hall of Fame speech, where he was arguing that kids should play several sports instead of just one. So this week we have Ross Cheshire here with us, who is one of our normal staff members, but also joining us is Justin Dade, who is from fantasypros.com. We're right there. How's it going, Justin?
Oh, it's going good. Hey, it's good to be here.
Yeah, and then we've got Cameron Adamczak, who's from another sports website. Give it to me again.
FoundingTheRock.com.
Yeah. So how are you guys doing?
I'm well.
Yeah.
I'm here. I show up.
That's good. We're glad to have you here, and we're looking forward to it this week. So we're gonna jump right into it here. So Tom Brady, the big news this week is the NFL finally came out with its decision on his appeal. They're going to stick with the 4-game suspension, and on their their idea behind it was that they believe Tom Brady was trying to gain a competitive advantage, and that they are likening it to steroid usage, which is a 4-game suspension nowadays for violating the drug policy in the NFL. So unlike the Bountygate scandal, or they even noted a Jets scandal in 2009 where an attendant who had attempted to use unapproved equipment, they said it was different from that one because Tom Brady knew and told the managers to do so. So what do you guys think about this? What is your opinion? Was the NFL right or wrong, or are you on Tom Brady's side?
Okay, 1, it's about time they got this done. And 2, yeah, I'm siding with the NFL here. I mean, the fact that Tom Brady's phone somehow magically got destroyed around the time that he was supposed to show messages to I guess to the NFL front office is just kind of a little too coincidental. And it was really well over time. It needed to happen.
So you agree with the NFL on it, though?
Absolutely. I don't know if I agree with 4 games, but I agree with the suspension and the fine, no doubt.
You think 4 is too much or too little?
I think it might be too much. I mean, the fact that it's Tom Brady makes it bad for the NFL, just because, I mean, people go to games to watch Tom Brady.
I almost feel like this suspension being 4 games is Roger Goodell's way of showing that he is more powerful than even his biggest stars, right? He's bigger than Tom Brady. Like, he is always going to have the authority over him. So he's going to lay down the law against pretty much America's team and America's quarterback in Tom Brady.
I was a little surprised too. To be honest with you, I thought for sure that they were going to get this reduced, knowing how Tom Brady and Robert Kraft work. And I've been a Brady and Belichick fan for a long time, and I've even found this to be a good thing for the NFL that Roger Goodell was able to stay strong with this whole thing. And it is very coincidental that he destroyed his phone at this time. I mean, it's just weird though that he's going to take this to court and everything now. It's almost like he's fighting for a lost cause, which I guess I don't understand.
Yeah, for me, I was actually surprised by the ruling as well because usually the NFL is kind of wimpy when it comes to the appeals process. They
Yep.
usually they're not really strong with their initial ruling, so it was a breath of fresh air really to see that they continued with their initial ruling. They kind of ruling with an iron fist as a way of saying it, which I don't know if that's technically a good or bad thing in some people's mind, but I think it was good. I think it was good to see that they weren't persuaded because it was Tom Brady, that they're kind of treating him just like any NFL player at this point because, I mean, Tom Brady is going to bring in a lot of revenue to the league. It's not a good thing that he's going to miss these 4 games for the NFL, but it's nice to see Goodell ruling with an iron fist, sticking to his guns, believing in what their case is, and not simply bowing down to the great New England Patriots.
I totally agree with that, but I mean, Tom Brady's reasoning for like taking this to court, I mean, it's really just to save his rep, just to try. I mean, he's got to try all he can to at least get the suspension a little reduce a little bit, just to make his rep a little more respectable, I guess.
Yeah, that's the
Because I
thing.
mean, he's been such a quarterback to look up to for so long. I mean, now in the past years, people have noticed that he's really not, the nicest of guys on the field. I mean, he's a trash talker, but I
I
mean, I think he's just trying to keep the
wasn't it
respect,
Adam
from
Schefter?
his fans and stuff.
Wasn't it Adam Schefter who reported that Goodell threw a reduction deal to Brady if he just admitted to it,
That's
he would
correct.
get it
It's
down to
kind of
two
like
games.
that brought me back to the Salem witch trials to a certain degree. It's
Huh.
kind of like if you are you say you're a witch, you'll live on, but if you don't, then they'll kill you, which is completely illogical. But I guess that's one of the things. And then along with Brady willing to take this to federal court, is I feel like he's innocent, or he really, really feels like he's innocent because I don't see why he would go along with this process for
I'm
so
with you
long.
there, Hayes. A lot. I understand. It makes me wonder. All this effort that he's gone through to make this work. Could he possibly be innocent? I guess we won't know. But
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and
well,
that's
Hayes, you're preaching about sticking to your guns. That's what he's doing. I mean, it's not like he's gonna say, "No, I didn't do it," and then keep saying it, and then be like, "Okay, fine, I did it."
yeah, no, that's fair to say, but I feel like he's fighting for his reputation at this point because he is. Just think about how much money he's shelling out for lawyers. And granted, I know he's,
He's got enough to do that.
I know he's got enough, but I feel like it's I
Lost
just,
cause.
yeah, I feel like he wouldn't continue on with this process if he didn't feel there was actually a legitimate shot of him actually getting out of it. But
I think his reputation is worth a pretty good bit of money, at least to him. I mean,
And I think also Robert Kraft coming out and saying what he said about Goodell also helps Brady's side because I don't think Kraft would just abandon the NFL if he really didn't believe Brady was innocent in all this.
that was a pretty ballsy comment. I noticed that was a low blow.
what
I,
with what Kraft said about the NFL,
Yeah.
yeah, that
oh
he
yeah.
had put his faith in it, but
Yes.
obviously that he had put his faith in the wrong thing. Yeah,
Look,
that's
I'm sorry, but I think Brady. I mean, I still think he's definitely guilty. It's the Patriots organization. I can't trust it.
That's fair.
that's
I
what's
don't feel like Brady had a reason to do it. I don't feel like the deflated footballs helped him
Gives you an
necessarily.
advantage.
I don't think it gives you a significant advantage, especially a quarterback. Maybe
And
for
it helps you get a better grip in the cold.
yeah, but then he went and destroyed Seattle with inflated footballs.
yeah. I feel like it's I do think that it would definitely be something Tom Brady would do though because it's one of those little things that the Patriots just really like to sit on the edge, like the fine line of the rules,
Yep.
and try to get every little advantage possible. Just like that call in the Ravens game where they had the eligible receiver who no one thought was eligible.
Right.
It's that kind of same idea. So
Well, I'd bet some money that this idea was probably Bill Belichick's. Would you guys agree?
I won't disagree. I mean, if it wasn't his, oh well. I mean, it's somebody else, but it would not surprise me whatsoever if it was him.
No, I agree with the Belichick thing, especially because I think the deflated footballs help with the fumbling more than it does with Brady gripping the ball. And you know how much Belichick hates when these running backs fumble. Like once they fumble, they're done for the game.
I mean, when you got Stephen Ridley, you got to use everything,
Yeah,
every
that's true.
advantage you can use, you know.
Like yeah.
But 4 games, let's look at that for a second. I know we touched on it a little bit, whether it was enough or not enough. To me, 4 games seems fair by the premise they're going off of how they're relating it to steroid usage by, gaining that competitive advantage. And I know generally it looks strange because of the whole Ray Rice and Greg Hardy and all of these other cases, but obviously the NFL is not tolerating cheating in any way.
And how do they tolerate it like on a Hall of Fame scale?
Well, what do you mean, like about
Like,
his?
say there was a steroid user with it, like, and I mean, just caught for it and suspended. Could they still be inducted in the Hall of Fame?
I would have to believe so, yes,
Okay,
because
because I mean, recently I've been like, don't you think that hurt? Like, somebody asked me, don't you think that hurts his chance to get into the Hall of Fame? And I thought about it, but then I was like, there's no way because it's Tom Brady, and he
There's
got caught this late in his career where he's already had a Hall of Fame career. I just,
there's no way, in my opinion, that he can. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's probably one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
oh,
The amount of
I
rings he
totally agree with
has
that.
now
And that,
and what
that's
he's done.
oh yeah, that's fair to say. But
how many
see,
rings
this
does he
is
have now? 3, 4, 5, 4?
he's got
Or
4,
That's a
yep.
thought.
yeah. And but that's the thing though, is this isn't baseball
Yeah,
where steroid users are completely condemned, basically from the earth.
Right.
um, in the NFL, it seems to
For
be
real.
tossed aside to a certain degree, which that's another debate for another day completely. But
but if
you
you want to
haven't seen
spin it
anybody.
back, if you want to spin it back to the 4 game suspension thing,
Yeah,
how are you gonna say deflating footballs by just like decimals under the allowed limit is equivalent to being convicted of domestic violence? Like, how can you, as the NFL, look in the mirror and say, "I'd rather have you hit women than deflate footballs"?
Well, they didn't say that because Ray Rice sat out an entire season.
well, that wasn't technically
No, that
all of
wasn't.
the NFL is doing, though.
It just played out that way, but
Yeah.
still.
Well, and okay, this is where we go into another idea, but I agree with what you're saying. As a fan, you question how the NFL can really think that way, but I think what Roger Goodell is trying to create here is a situation where he has a completely honest football game where he's trying to create an atmosphere where there is no cheating tolerated at all.
Keeping
And
the
so,
integrity of the game, right?
yeah, correct. So I think I know it sounds asinine. I know it sounds crazy, but I think for the NFL as a product, they would rather have their players doing things off the field than harming the integrity of the game on the field.
Which is fine, but if you're gonna have integrity of the game, don't you want to have integrity of men? You know,
Yeah,
not hitting
Yep.
children and women.
I agree with you. No, I
Yeah.
totally agree, but it just seems to be the way the NFL is trying to handle its business. They're really more concerned with on the field stuff than off the field. I think you can just see that by a lot of the problems that players have gotten into in recent years, um, and how the NFL has handled it with so little care, honestly. So it's a situation where I think Brady is really getting the blunt of this because it's a cheating scandal. It's something where he is trying to gain an advantage on the field, and the NFL has really no tolerance for that at all.
I have a question, just a hypothetical. If it was Joe Flacco who deflated footballs, would he have been suspended 4 games?
Yes.
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Do you think it's just because it's
it's the
Brady?
Patriots and because it's Brady and because Spygate, that had definitely a bigger influence than say Joe. Oh, also because he won. He won the game
Well, I mean,
quite
he was.
handily.
I
Right.
mean, the Ravens weren't never played. I mean, last year on the platform that the Patriots did. I mean, that was in the AFC Championship game.
Right. They
So
were
I mean,
playing
if that
against-
if that happened game 2 of the season, he would. I don't think he'd be suspended for 4 games.
He'd probably just be fined, and that's all.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I
Or
disagree.
I
I
don't think
think
they'd look into it. I don't even think they'd really look into it that much.
I
They'd be
really
like,
do.
"Oh, it happened."
I really do feel like they would uh, go with the same ruling here against a guy like Joe Flacco, or even shoot like an Robert Griffin III. Anybody, I feel like they would carry the same sentiment, but because of what they're trying to show here is gaining a competitive advantage. That was the key phrase in this whole appeals process, and the ruling that they came out with is they're giving him 4 games because they're likening it to him taking steroids. Essentially, that's the idea behind the whole ruling. That's why he got 4 games, and that's why it's a bigger deal than it probably should be in the
Yeah.
grand scheme of things.
I just hate they
Like you're
drag it out
almost
for so long.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tell me
I
about it.
honestly, this is a good conversation, but I cannot stand to talk about it anymore. It's been so long.
Oh, I know. I'm
They did it at a
Like
very
I
poor time.
months ago, I accepted that he had done it, and I was over it.
yeah, well, and speaking of the Falcons here for a second, I want to bring it back to this, and I know you guys are all Falcons fans here, but I really question and this is something weird about the NFL is Tom Brady getting 4 games for gaining a competitive advantage, and that's just a huge talk right now. And I get that Tom Brady is a much bigger icon than the Atlanta Falcons franchise. No, nothing against the Falcons, but he just
Right.
is.
It's true.
Why did the Falcons only be charged a fifth round pick for blasting fan noise, fake fan noise?
Because it's funny.
No, they said this already. Arthur Blank had basically admitted to it as soon as he could, and that's I think the difference here. You know, the same thing with Ray Farmer in Cleveland. They admitted to it
Mhm.
once they got through, and the Patriots and Tom Brady have been denying it this whole time and haven't complied with Roger Goodell. And the Falcons knew they messed up, and they said, you know, we admit to this, and whatever happens is happens. And I think that's why we got off a little easier.
Mhm.
And also, we didn't make the playoffs. I think.
It clearly didn't help us any.
So
No, it didn't.
your irrelevancy just helped you in this situation.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But that's the weird thing about the NFL though is they're saying, we're going to suspend him for 4 games because he got a competitive advantage, but at the same time the Falcons got a competitive advantage and they got a slap on the
What do
wrist.
you want to do? Suspend the Falcons?
Yeah.
You could
I mean, they're gonna go 0-4 to start the season, anyways.
You could,
Oh,
like-
whoa.
And let's
okay.
not get into this.
That was a
Whoa.
joke. That was a joke. That was an absolute joke.
Okay.
I guess you could suspend the owner from team activities or the GM.
You could have equivalent fines and draft picks to what the Patriots were given.
I think you could take away a more relevant draft pick.
Yeah.
But I'm totally good with what they did. I'm good with it.
I was concerned it was going to be higher than 5.
Well, and the
yeah,
Brady's,
would think so.
considering for the Patriots, one of the things that's kind of been undermined in this whole thing is that they actually were, they lost the first round pick.
Right.
Yeah, which people seem to forget about, which is a bigger deal.
You know what really sucks about the Falcons losing that pick?
No.
Some poor guy out there is not going to get drafted. You know?
Well,
it's just like-
they probably would rather not be drafted by the Falcons anyway.
All right.
That-
Okay.
for the time being, that is true.
Are you kidding me? We're the upstart Falcons, baby. Robert Quinn, he's going to turn us around. He's the guy. I'm all in for Robert Quinn.
Dan Quinn, but yeah.
Oh, my bad. Dan Quinn.
I was about to say,
I'm
wait,
thinking about his
you guys-
brother, you know.
You guys traded
Yeah.
for Robert Quinn?
I wish.
That'd be amazing.
I've been looking at too many other things that's not Falcons. I need to touch up.
Well, and let's culminate this Brady thing here for a second. Just talking about Brady in general, do you think he did it?
Yes.
No.
He's a patriot. He did it.
Do I think he was the one that suggested the idea? No. Do I think that he knew about it and went along with it? Yes.
Okay, then yes. Then your answer is yes.
I honestly don't think so. I think Brady would have sat back and just taken the punishment if he really did it.
I don't think so, but
No. Okay, then what happened to his phone? Like, why did his phone somehow break? Like right
According
around
to
the time?
him, he checked with the league, made sure they got all their messages, and then because it
Destroyed his
was a
phone.
broken phone. It was a broken phone, and then he got a new phone.
Well,
The destroying his phone thing was not necessarily true. It was just what the NFL said.
right.
Brady
whole-
said something else.
and the funny thing about this situation is he was using a Samsung phone, which if you're like worth hundreds of $1 million, why would you be using Samsung?
Wow, that's a shot on
Could have been
Samsung.
sponsored by them, like LeBron.
I mean, let's be real. That's like Tom Brady going to your local Applebee's. Like you're in the phone world. Like AT&T is like your high end, I don't know, Carrabba's or something like that. I mean, Tom Brady wouldn't go to Applebee's, right?
I mean, I guess he said he upgraded to an iPhone 6, so
And I did read somewhere that someone told me that he gets a new cell phone every 4 months, or like professional athletes, they don't like to keep a phone for so long in case it gets like hacked or something.
Really? That's interesting.
I don't
Yeah.
remember where I heard that, but I did hear that.
Well, that was my next question: is why is he changing phones so often?
Right.
But that would make sense, I guess. So
I guess.
Because he plays for the Patriots. There's so much illegal activity that they just kind of have to.
was it Jake Long who tweeted? It was like, "LOL, I get a new phone after every time I get super drunk" or something like that.
Yeah.
oh, what was it? No, he said it was Chris Long, and he said he smashes his phone all the time, but it's not on purpose. I think that was what
Oh,
it
okay.
was. That was the tweet, yeah. But so he's gonna end up taking it to federal court now, which is
Which is great. We get
Is
to
that a-
hear every sports analyst discuss the same thing that they've been
For
discussing
another
for
month and
6
a half.
months. Yep.
yeah.
I
Well-
guess Brady needs to argue with it until they have absolute proof. Because him breaking his phone is not enough proof to say that he did it. Although I think he did it, but still.
Yeah, I think he did it too, honestly, because okay, maybe not suggested it, maybe Belichick suggested it or someone else, but a ball manager isn't going to just deflate balls for no reason. Honestly, like what would be the purpose of him going in there and purposely deflating balls and
Yeah, he was definitely told to do
somebody
something.
told him to do it. So, and if you're Tom Brady, you can definitely tell the balls are not as inflated as they should be. Now, whether or not he thought they were under regulation size is another question. That could be debated. But I think Tom Brady was aware there was something funky going on. Whether he thought it was legal or not, he understood the balls were a little deflated. I think there's no way of saying he didn't know, because if you're a professional football player, quarterback, who spends your entire life, your livelihood throwing footballs, you know how much it weighs, how much it feels in your hand.
I have a. If you want to revert back to the cell phone thing for like 3 seconds,
Yeah.
I'm almost positive. You can go and check message history if you go into like Verizon, because I know
Right.
people. I know like cops have access to that. Like if they get a warrant, they can go look at your message history. So what is smashing a phone going to do to the cloud where all your messages are stored?
Well, he was using a Samsung phone, but I'm sure you can still get it.
Nope.
It's all
Samsung. It's so low quality that they don't have that. They don't have that feature.
We're not making a lot of people very happy right
See,
now.
that's why he was with Samsung in the first place. He's just an evil genius.
That's it.
That's why.
It's all just a big ploy to get away with.
We
Exactly.
have gotten it all figured out now.
Yeah. But let's actually consider the football aspect of this now for a second. How do you feel like this affects the Patriots in the first 4 games?
Well, I think everybody's just gonna be, they're gonna walk into the field and just realize they don't have Brady. They're all gonna feel really deflated. They're just gonna just all the air is gonna be taken out of the building.
Overused. Overused.
First used by Andrew Luck. I really enjoyed that
I mean, I don't
after
know
they
about
got
you
demolished.
guys, but I'm actually kind of excited to watch Jimmy Garoppolo play. To be honest with you, because we watched Ryan Mallett sit behind the bench for 5 or 6 years. We
It
always
was
wanted
not that long, not even close to that long.
I think it was like 3 years.
It was like
Well, it
3.
felt like a long time, didn't it?
It did. It did because he was supposedly the next savior.
And,
But
and now
anyway.
and now I'm just interested to see what Garoppolo can do, and I don't know, that's something no one talks about, but
I still
I
have faith in Ryan Mallett. Where is he? The Texans?
yeah,
Yeah.
Texans. He won't start. Ryan
He
Hoyer.
won't start. No. I wish he would though.
So give me a predictions for the first 4 games. What are you guys thinking?
Well, we should know who they play, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the schedule?
The schedule is the Steelers game week 1.
Nope.
So that's a loss for you guys.
Where is it?
Debatable.
It's at New England.
I give the edge to Ben Roethlisberger there.
I'm gonna go either way. I don't know.
Consider our next topic here is Le'Veon Bell, and he's not going to be in that game.
Right.
True.
So
It'll be D'Angelo Williams there.
yeah.
No, I think the Steelers will win.
All right, then week 2 they're at Buffalo.
That's a win.
That's a win.
That's not an easy game.
No, that's not.
I don't think so at all.
But new system.
Defense is good.
Yeah, right.
And the
But-
Patriots.
I think the lower scoring the game, the better for the Patriots, because I don't think Garoppolo is going to be whipping the ball around all the time.
And the Patriots have always struggled in Buffalo, even with Tom Brady the past few years. They've either
Didn't they lose there recently?
They lost there last year.
That's
pretty
what I
sure.
thought.
Yeah. And then the year before they barely won there in
Yeah.
Buffalo. So that's gonna be a tough one. Then they go to Jacksonville.
Okay.
Oh, that's a loss. Definitely a loss.
I think we're safe to give him that one.
Yeah. Well, forgive me. They play Jacksonville in New England. They don't go to Jacksonville, but that's a detail that probably could have been left out anyway, so it doesn't matter. Then they go to Dallas after their bye week.
I don't. By then, Garoppolo could be ready to go. So
Is Dallas's bye
I
week
don't know.
5?
No, that game is going to be played week 5.
right.
Or I'm sorry, week 6.
I don't know. Maybe, but New England's bye week is week 4, so they'll have 2 weeks for that game to prepare.
Belichick on 2 weeks just seems scary to me.
Yep.
I feel like that's a trap game.
It'd be safe to say 2-2. I would say 2-2 would be.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That's what I thought at first before I even saw the schedule, and that's what I think
It
now.
just sounds familiar to Patriots of last season.
Yeah, I agree with 2-2 as well. Personally, I think they're going to lose those first 2 games, and then they'll get it figured out a little bit. They're going to beat Jacksonville. That's not even a question. Then
anyway.
I think on 2 weeks at Dallas isn't really tough. They don't have much of a home field advantage anyway, so I think they could steal one in Dallas.
See, I think they lose game 1 obviously, and then win the next 2, and then lose to Dallas.
Either way, yeah. 2-2 is a good.
2-2 sounds about right.
Yeah,
They could surprise us going 3-1, but I don't see it happening.
that'd
Could
be
be 1-3
tough.
too. You never know.
Yep.
Yeah.
They could go 0-4. They could go 4-0. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible
Especially
for New
because
England.
quarterback play is so important.
Yep. So
Maybe Blake Bortles just figures it out in season 2.
Well,
Allen
maybe.
Robinson isn't a joke there either.
no,
Jack-
he's not, but the rest of the franchise is.
yeah, he's got reloaded weapons like Julius Thomas.
T.J. Yeldon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got weapons.
Am I the only one who doesn't like T.J. Yeldon?
I don't think he'll live up to that. I think it was a little high for draft wise, but I think he'll be okay.
I just feel like he's the next Alabama running back who's completely mediocre.
We'll see.
At least Eddie Lacy was good. Trent Richardson was an abomination.
I still don't know what happened.
All
to him.
right, let's get back to this topic. I love topics.
Right.
Hey, you know we get off topic a little bit, but that's all right.
But what if Brady is able to delay the suspension, and then he has to take 4 weeks off later in the year? Worst
I don't
case scenario.
think that's.
I feel like that'd be worse for New England.
Yep, that's playing with fire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
it's a possibility.
it
Sure.
is. I mean, I'd be okay with it because I'm a Dolphins fan. So we're going to jump into the AFC East here for a second. And with this Tom Brady suspension, do you think that opens the door for someone else to steal the East this year?
The Bills.
Ooh.
Because I personally think that's the toughest division in football right now.
I would argue that the Patriots have the worst defense in that division, but I don't know if that means that they still won't win.
I
Yeah.
feel like every year the Dolphins, people hype the Dolphins.
They could just
and
go.
they never ever live up to their hype.
People
Yeah,
hype the
I hate like the
Dolphins?
Dolphins.
Really?
I knew that was coming in.
Are you serious?
Yeah, people liked the Dolphins last year.
Yeah, they improved by one game last year, so they were 8-8, and then going into this year, I mean they have to improve. Like they literally have no excuses. If they don't go over 500,
There's no excuse.
that whole franchise probably needs to be blown up.
I'm a Tannehill guy. I'm a big fan.
They just locked in Tannehill.
Yeah, I mean they've got Ryan Tannehill. They're pretty much set everywhere. I mean, like,
Except offensive line, that is an issue.
yeah, if they can get Evan Mathis for a decent price, I can't see how the Dolphins don't make the playoffs this year. But does that mean they'll win the division? That's another question. Because I still think New England's probably going to end up going like 11-5.
That's fair, yeah.
So is someone else going to go 11-5 and win in a tiebreaker?
Probably not.
That's the question you have to answer. So I think
Well, the only shot I think is if the Bills are good enough and they get and they win week 2,
yeah.
then that's a potential tiebreaker there.
I
The Bills and the Jets need a quarterback. That's bottom line. I mean, we can talk about their defense all we want. Their
Patriots could even go 12-2. I mean 12-4.
12-4. Ooh.
Boy, that's a
I really think they could. I mean,
Who's
I
playing
want Brady
quarterback
to-
for the Bills right now?
It's
It's
EJ
a 3.
Manuel or
EJ Manuel.
Matt Castle.
I think they like Tyrod Taylor. I heard had the edge early, but we'll see if that holds.
He actually didn't look bad in a lot of preseason games I've watched. But, I mean, come on, let's be real
Yeah.
for a second here. If Tyrod Taylor's starting for you,
And it's not like they don't have the weapons anymore. Sammy Watkins is going to be a stud in a few years, whether he has a good quarterback or not. Charles Clay is average, and Robert Woods can play too. So,
and they've got LaShawn
Shady.
McCoy back there too.
right,
So,
Percy Harvin as well, correct?
yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
there's no reason for their quarterback to not have any success. But if they don't have any success, they'll definitely be drafting one. So
If I had to gamble on a quarterback to win that battle, I'd bet on Matt Castle.
I mean, he can manage an offense, I guess, but
Isn't that what you want?
I guess
Rex
for
Ryan, I
Buffalo,
guess so.
for Buffalo, they're for them, they just need someone who's not going to screw it up.
Turn it over.
They need
Yeah.
Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially. They need Matt Castle to be Alex Smith.
Football.
When have you ever heard somebody needed Alex Smith? That's
Never.
a first. The epitome of average, and we've talked about that plenty here.
Oh yes.
Because Christopher's a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so he is very aware of that fact of Alex Smith being very average. But I think the things that hold back Buffalo and New York this year will be quarterback play, because you just can't get over it. It's such an important position that if you don't have good enough play, it's pretty tough to get into the playoffs. So I think I could see both of them going like 8-8 or 9-7, and then the Dolphins.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
I think the Dolphins will be like 9-7 or 10-6. So probably like maybe a game back of New England.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
All right, so let's move on to Le'Veon Bell here. So the lesser of news to a certain degree, with Tom Brady being the bigger news that day. But also on Tuesday, we learned that the appeals process for Le'Veon Bell worked. He got his suspension reduced to 2 games when it was initially 3 games. So us fantasy football, fans are. It's bigger news for us, I think, than most people.
Right.
So initially, he was suspended for marijuana usage along with his boy, LeGarrette Blunt. Fitting name,
Fitting.
but and his as
He
far
was
as
charged
I
with possession too, right? Like he
yeah,
had a considerable amount of weed on him.
I think so. Yeah. And I haven't heard of Blunt's suspension being reduced yet. So, but only Bell's right now. So was this? I guess this is good for the NFL. I think 3 games for weed is a bit much.
I feel a little disappointed in the whole weed thing because players use it for recreation, but also I think they use it for medication when they have headaches from head trauma and stuff. And we also don't get to see Josh Gordon play, and I think that's a real bummer because he's so talented.
Let's not go there.
Right.
No, that's a complete bummer. I mean,
Yeah.
just take it from Stephen A. Smith. Just the dude's got to lay off the weed, man.
Oh, Stephen A.
That guy cracks me up. But in the grand scheme of things, how does this affect the Steelers?
Minimally, I don't think.
Who do they play week 3 anyway?
Their first 3 games are New England, as we noted earlier, and then they go to they're at home against the 49ers, and then at St. Louis.
Oh, they'll win. They'll start 3-0.
Yeah,
I agree.
So then basically, instead of having him, they're going to have him for the St. Louis game now.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, for that, against that defense,
They
that
may
can
not.
help them
They
out.
might not run the ball a whole lot in that game anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. But, well, I mean, it'll help them, I think.
Oh yeah.
For that
Always
game.
for that.
Le'Veon Bell
They'll
catching
have
the
that
ball out of
threat.
the backfield is very valuable and impressive. So.
Yeah. And especially
Always a threat.
at St. Louis, they play fantastic defense at home.
Yes, they
They
do.
stifle teams, so he's going to be big for them. I think he's going to earn them that win. So I think it's kind of a big deal for Pittsburgh to get him back for that game.
And I think if you're looking down the road, playoff time, he has 2 less games on his body. So I think it almost could be sort of beneficial.
Decent point there, I guess.
That's fair to say, yeah. Considering his workload last year, he seemed to catch like every ball.
Led the league in touches, right? For backs.
I think so, yeah. I mean, he caught a lot more passes than DeMarco Murray did last year, so
Yeah.
he probably did lead the league in actual touches. But for the fantasy football effect, does this bump him up a lot for you guys?
Oh, I
For
He was like number 1 to start.
yeah, you can't bump him up any further, in my opinion.
So you guys were going to have him 1 anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. Moving on to another running back here, Adrian Peterson, with a little bit bigger news here, saying that he thought he'd rush for 2,500 yards this year. You guys think that's even in the realm of possibilities?
I don't
Nope.
think that's in the realm of possibility for anyone.
No, but potentially total yardage, 2,500.
Uh, no, I don't think he's going to catch that many passes, to be honest with you. I mean, let's look. His he's not really known as a pass catcher.
He can do it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
He
can do
could
it.
do it, but it's not his specialty by any
Right.
means. So I think 2,500 yards is probably about 1,000 yards too many.
yep, I
I think
would say so.
1,500 seems fair for him coming off uh, basically just a dud year last year. He played one game. So
Right.
it was basically like he'd missed all of last year, which I know some people think that's beneficial. Some could argue it's not. What do you guys think? How fresh do you think he's actually going to be this year?
That's not beneficial to miss any games.
I
I
actually,
don't think it helps at all.
I
Some people think it's.
disagree.
It helps his
Oh, really?
attitude. I'll tell you that much, though. He's gonna be very upset, and he is going to run very hard week one. I feel sorry for whoever they play week one because I think Adrian Peterson could rush for 150 yards that game.
I, I mean, what's the downfall to having a year off as a 30-year-old running back now?
Missing a year.
Yeah, but
Just being like
it's
rusty?
not like he
Or-
missed much. Like,
Except a year.
Are you talking about like in regards to his being rusty? Is that
Ah,
the idea or
yeah, because practice can only do so much for you. I mean,
I don't know. I
games.
feel like if you're Adrian Peterson
all he has to do
after
is
like
run straight,
I,
runs forward. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of rust involved.
I
We'll just have to. We'll just have to see. I mean, I just I don't see him having some kind of breakout year that everybody says, "Oh man, that's the Adrian Peterson that we missed." It's not like that 1 year's gonna make. Okay, I don't think that 1 year's gonna make an impact either way. I don't think it's gonna be better for him or worse for him. Can we be safe by saying that?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
fair.
that's fair. And so at this point he's 30 years old. He's reached that terrible age for running backs.
But if
That's
there's somebody
That's
that can
Mark.
break that barrier, it's definitely him. That's all I gotta
I
say.
agree. I
Yep.
agree.
Yep.
Yep.
And so looking at his stats here, his best year was obviously in 2012 when he ran for almost
2007.
almost 2,100 yards. But other than that, he's only had one other season where he ran for over 1,400 yards in, let's see, 8 years. So even saying 1,500 yards for him would be like a great year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And his direct comment was, I believe he said that he's going to have the best season of his career. So that would mean over that 2,100 yard mark. So
Yeah, yeah. I
lofty
think
goals.
he's a little delusional right now. I think he I won't go there.
But I think he'll get the touches to be able to do it if he has enough left in the tank.
He will.
Minnesota's an interesting
He'll get
team
the
this year.
touches.
They really are.
And
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say this. I think what a lot of people are overlooking this year is Mike Wallace coming into Minnesota. He's really going to open up the running lanes for Adrian Peterson. Thinking back to where Mike Wallace has been in the past, last year, I think his effect really allowed Lamar Miller to go over 1,000 yards in Miami. Considering, granted, Miami's offensive line is better rushing the ball than it is in pass protection, but it's not a good offensive line. And Lamar Miller's good, but he's not. It's not great.
No.
And he went over 1,000 yards last year. So if Mike Wallace can be that effect for a guy like Lamar Miller, just imagine what he can do for Adrian Peterson.
I'm not really sold on the Vikings
Bridgewater still
passing attack right
quarterback
now.
there.
Really?
Is Teddy Bridgewater still playing quarterback?
Yeah.
Yep.
I always liked him.
I like him too. But why do you say that, Justin?
You know, I like Teddy Bridgewater too, but I think it's gonna be a while. I think Mike Wallace is sort of overrated. Pardon my comments there, Hayes. I know
No,
you're
that's fair. I don't like him.
okay. Um,
That's
and
okay.
when you look at who else they have, Cordero Patterson has been one of the biggest disappointments in recent years. He may barely even see the field this year, and Charles Johnson was pretty good. He was surprising, but I'm just not sold on their passing attack as of right now. But maybe Kyle Rudolph can come out of his shadows too. Maybe he needs to pick up his play as well.
Yep.
And
I'm
if you want to look at how Adrian Peterson did with a decent passing attack, you can look at 2009 when Favre had his year.
mhm.
1,383 yards, 18 touchdowns.
Yep. Yep.
So
So yeah, that's what we'll see with Adrian Peterson. I feel like I don't think he'll last forever. I think he's starting to, you know, deteriorate a little bit. Although I think this 1 year rest will eventually help him because, I mean, like you said, Cam, it can't really hurt him. I mean, 1 year off to kind of heal your body at 30 years old, it can't hurt. So we'll see. I just hope he can stay healthy. That's going to be the big thing for him. But I think we're all in agreement that he's not going to reach 2,500 yards, though.
Oh
No,
God,
no, no, no.
No way.
but he'll
not
be
even
fun
on
to
purpose.
watch. He'll be fun to watch for sure.
Oh, yeah, he will.
Yes.
You know who's not going to be fun to watch is Sheldon Richardson because he's not going to be on the field at all this year, possibly. He was finally charged today on a case where on July 14th he had been um, I guess you could say, found of drag racing stupidly with some guys. He was clocked at 122, 135, and 143 miles per hour. So he was getting his need for speed on.
Was he on an
It's,
Autobahn?
No.
No, I don't think so. I think he was in America.
Darn. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think I also read that he had a gun in the car, but it was legal. He was
Correct.
clear there, but that's still pretty sketchy. And his car apparently reeked like marijuana, so that's
Yep.
not good for his.
And this is a guy who had already had marijuana issues in the past. So
He's suspended the first 4 games of the year, right?
And
Yep.
there's gonna
Exactly.
be I guarantee it.
exactly. So he was already suspended for the first 4 games, and he even had a 12-year-old in his car.
That's the scariest part of this whole
That's
thing.
just disappointing. It really is disappointing.
Because it's not his kid. I don't know who this 12-year-old is, but I don't know why Sheldon Richardson's bringing a 12-year-old drag racing
And
with
I'm
marijuana.
sure there were like 2 other adults in the car, right?
I don't know. I
That's what I
didn't.
read.
Okay. 2 other
And-
adults in the car. Yep.
So I'm sure there
This
were.
just then he likes children.
I'm sure there were. I don't think the cop lied when he said it smelled like weed.
No,
So-
I don't think so.
12-year-old in the car, 3 adults, potentially all smoking weed. It's a bad look, and it's scary for the 12-year-old child in the car.
Yeah. And we're still learning some more information on this. This just came out today, just a few hours ago. But this is what we know right now, and let's just consider the ramifications for the Jets. There will be no ramifications because they're still going to be awesome on defense.
and I do believe they drafted a guy there pretty high who knows a thing or two about that position. So
Yeah, Leonard Williams out of USC.
yes,
So they're going to be just fine. Don't worry about the Jets. They're not going to be too distraught by his idiocracy.
Yeah, but
Todd
who-
Bowles was a fantastic hire, by the way. Just to point that out, he is class act. I mean, he'll be a great defensive mind to replace Rex Ryan there for sure.
Yep,
Yeah.
I like Todd Bowles there a lot. I think he's going to do a great job. He's gotten the most out of the talent he's had in Arizona.
With all
Really,
the
he's-
injuries, it was incredible.
Yeah, really, he's done more than he should have done in
Yeah.
Arizona with Bruce Arians there and as a defensive coordinator who really just led a great Arizona defense. I think he's going to do wonders for New York. Although it's it's a good fit because of Rex Ryan being a defensive guru himself. I think you're not going far away from his mindset, but it's
No.
interesting because if anywhere there was somewhere for New York to improve upon, it was on offense. So it's interesting that they didn't try to bring in a more offensive-minded coach.
That's understandable, yeah.
Yeah, to try and develop Geno Smith if there's anything to develop at this point.
I think this could be Geno's last year to make or break, I think. I mean, it's a little early to say that, buddy. He's just been so poor that
He's been really poor.
that's
If
why,
they
you know,
if they give him if he's bad this year and they give him another shot
that,
next year,
that's too many for me.
yeah, the Jets need to lay off the weed.
So hey,
Guys,
Yeah,
you mentioned that Wilkerson could get all 16, or I mean Richardson could get all 16. Do you really think he could miss the entire year with this now?
I don't know. I have heard some people saying that. I think it's certainly possible considering he was already suspended, so it's a second time offense. And if it is weed, um, if they do bust him for that, isn't doesn't that become a 12 game suspension?
Right. So then would the add on the four then possibly, or
I'm I'm not sure. That would be a good question
well, I would
to try
say
and
at
figure out.
least I think he deserves at least 10 for
Yeah,
this, all
yeah.
this together.
Well, he's
and
gonna be. Go ahead.
Much like Josh Gordon, it's like such a shame because Sheldon Richardson is so talented.
Oh, he's just a monster.
Oh yeah, he's very good. Not very well known by a lot of people, but for us actual watchers of football, he's very good.
Love to
So
have him.
it's oh, you'd love to have anybody in Atlanta for that defense.
Are they
Trust me.
going to give Mo Wilkerson a new deal, or what's the front up there?
I think his leverage got a little better with this news.
It's possible, yeah.
If they, because Richardson only has one more year on his contract after this year, so if they decide to move on with Richardson, I'm sure they have to re-sign Wilkerson.
Hey, if you want to go bargain hunting, go trade for Sheldon Richardson right now.
Oh,
Buy
no
low.
thanks.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same about Josh Gordon, but I don't know if anybody's going to bite on that.
Or Johnny Manziel, but we won't touch on that topic either.
I'd prefer not to,
I'd prefer not to as well.
because he's not even worth talking about anymore.
Yeah, but Tim Tebow to the Eagles, am I right?
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that either. He
Can
probably
you
won't be
ima-
the team.
can you imagine if Tim Tebow had just stayed in New England? He'd probably be starting right now.
He got cut.
Possibly.
I know. If he had just stayed in New
15.
England, I think he's got a good chance at getting some playing time in Philadelphia, though. I'm not gonna lie. I have that gut feeling.
I can't see it. I don't know why they would.
Well, because
I
Sam
sure hope he won't
Bradford,
be throwing the football, probably running the ball, but I
Sam
sure hope they
Bradford.
don't let him throw it.
I don't know how well Sam Bradford's prosthetics will hold up this year. So that, along with Mark Sanchez, I don't know. Is
It
Tim
could be
Tebow's got a
argued that Bradford's potential is and injury risk is about equal to Nick Foles' potential and injury risk. Like I'd almost prefer the injury risk plus talent of Bradford over injury risk of Nick Foles plus whatever his ceiling is.
the Eagles better have a great medical staff. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be busy this year. So, well, talking about injuries, actually, let's go ahead and talk about a couple here with some young players going onto the PUP list for training camp. We'll start out with Kevin White from Chicago, the wide receiver drafted this year, second wideout behind Amari Cooper. He's got a bright future, but he's injured right now, which doesn't necessarily mean he's going to miss the first game, but what are you guys thinking about this injury right now?
Well, the journey for him to replace Brandon Marshall is just going to start a little later. Or as a little bit of a hiccup.
Yeah,
Guy's
yeah.
ton of talent, and I'd love to see him get healthy for
I
a
mean,
year, see what he can do.
he's got a shin injury, so I don't think that'll be too big of a deal to handle. And
No.
your point, Cameron, you said that he would replace
Hey,
Brandon Marshall. I think it's actually the other way of Jeffrey replacing Marshall and then White taking Jeffrey's role. But
Yeah, possibly. Just
hey, Hayes.
Yeah.
I hate to just be a little random, but I was just thinking about this because I heard about it today or yesterday. But are you upset with Isaac Nada's decommit?
Oh yeah, we should talk about that a little bit. But see, I'm allowed to actually talk about things now because Christopher's not here on this podcast because he pretty much is just angry with everything we talk about if it's not like the Kansas City Royals.
It is
So
true.
we can talk about a little about FSU right now. Isaac Nada, who's the best tight end in the country, decommitted because he said he wanted to go somewhere where he could grow like a man.
oh,
I should say grow into a man. So yeah, that was a shot to the jugular.
I knew he was going to do it. I knew it the entire time.
What are you like? Got an inside scoop with Isaac Nada or something?
I I have an inside guy.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
you're an anonymous source.
Well, I can reference Cameron.
Oh okay, I got you.
Yeah, good
We
friend.
won't go farther than that, but I understand. I got your source there. That's
Yeah, no.
interesting.
Yeah, no.
That
He assumed it a while back, and I kind of doubted him, but I guess he nailed it.
that's a nah. That's a shot to me. That one hurt.
I hope
Not
he
just because of
good for him.
not just not just him leaving, but what he said. Like that
is it
was.
because it's true Hayes or
Well, look, I mean, look at all that's happened.
I know, but that doesn't mean he can't become a man.
I just don't know how much trust there can be with everybody they kind of put up with. And I don't know.
Well,
He
see,
might just need to go to the University of Florida. I think
that's
that's
a
a
really
good solvent.
that's such a general statement though, because what does that mean? Like become a man? Like does he
No,
not feel
I
like he
agree.
can learn?
I agree.
Like, is he concerned with how Florida State's running its program, with how he doesn't feel like he'll grow morally, or
I think he's really considering University of Georgia though.
uh, I don't want to
I
hear
mean,
all
he's
the
visited there a
UGA
couple
stuff.
times. He went there really recently.
Yeah,
I think he wants to go SEC.
it's
That's
possible.
where I would want to go to the SEC.
I would too. Well, the ACC is pretty good though.
No, it is, but I mean, it's just not as strong as the SEC. And I don't. I mean, yeah, the SEC is not as strong as what everybody made it out to be. I'll go with that. It hurts me to say it, but I'll go with it because I mean, we saw it happen in the playoff. Playoffs very good, by the way, but I still think the SEC is definitely
Well, you know
overall the strongest conference. So
the
no,
problem with
that's
the SEC right now is that they all beat each other. So
no the
it's so
SEC.
hard. It's so
yeah,
hard to go
that's what I'm saying.
perfect in the SEC.
Especially the West, the SEC West,
The SEC is the
Yeah.
best
beats each other up so
conference.
bad.
The SEC is the best conference in college football. That's completely fair to say. I won't argue that at all. But it's but let's get down to it. Would you rather go to Florida State, where and with Jimbo Fisher in the past 5 years they've gone, let's see,
Basically,
13-1, 14-0, like 11-2, 10-2, like their worst season since Jimbo's been there is like 9-4. Or you could go to UGA with no quarterback. So
well, Florida State's got a quarterback right now?
Everett Golson,
actually,
Oh,
Isaac's got a
and they've
friend
got
that
two or three like 5-star quarterbacks coming in next year.
Well, UGA is the number one overall quarterback in 2017 class.
yes,
Maybe
and
not.
Twenty,
that's Isaac's very good friend.
yeah. So
So there's that information.
true.
Yep.
Putting two and two together, maybe.
Because
Maybe. We might see them together at
Or
UGA.
they went on a
But
visit together about they went on a visit together about like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago to UGA.
hmm,
So just let that sink in. That
maybe.
probably influenced a little bit.
Certainly possible. But we'll go back to our topic now for the NFL injuries of Kevin White. That's okay, Ross. I was okay with you breaking that off. That was good information.
Yes, sir.
But what do you think about this injury for Kevin White? Ross,
I'm sorry. What did you say?
what do you think about this injury with Kevin White?
I'm sorry. I've been zoning out so bad.
No, it's okay. For me, I don't think it's a huge deal just
No.
because he's not planning to miss the first game. It's like you said, it's only a shin injury.
Right.
So it's not, and he suffered it at the end of OTA. So I think he's going to be okay. I think he was a little bit more raw than Amari Cooper coming out. So maybe
Oh yeah.
it'll stunt his development a little bit early in the year, but in the long run, he'll be fine. I think he's going to be really good in Chicago because if there's anything Jay Cutler can do is throw it up. So I mean, it's not always going to land in his team's hands, but
He can throw it far, just not
yeah,
necessarily accurate.
yeah.
Right.
So I think he and Alshon Jeffrey are going to be a nice duo together for a long time.
Martellus Bennett's a good compliment too.
Yep, yep. But I like Devontae Parker. He's going to be on the PUP list as well for the start of training camp. I'm a little bit more concerned with him though.
Well, I mean, obviously he's the third best wide receiver in the draft, and we're not worried about that. But he's gonna kind of be buried on that depth chart, I think, for a while.
Early in the year, I think you'll see him not make a lot of noise. Think Odell Beckham to a certain degree
To a
last year.
certain degree, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
to a certain degree. Because that foot injury, he suffered the injury at Louisville. And so after he played really well in OTAs, Miami decided that the foot injury was something that needed to be dealt with permanently and go ahead and get it done now so in the long run it wouldn't be a problem. So that tells me that they're not planning to use him a lot in say the first 4 to 6 weeks of the year.
right.
I think that's a big reason why they got Greg Jennings. They needed another veteran presence out there while Devontae Parker developed. So with all the depth in Miami, I mean they've got Greg Jennings, Kenny Stills, Jarvis Landry, Rashard Matthews, Jordan Cameron.
Jordan Cameron, yep.
Yeah, so they got enough pass catchers already that they'll survive the first few weeks without Devontae Parker. But I think it's a little bit bigger of a deal than people are leaning it on to be right now. And foot injuries aren't really something you want to mess with either with a wide receiver. I mean, look,
Especially not early. No,
With any athlete, you
yeah,
don't want to mess with feet.
I know AJ Green has dealt with that, and
Yeah.
it's messed him up. So,
Julio Jones broke a foot too, so
yep. So it's common,
That's gonna.
but it's something you don't want to mess with. So I think Miami was smart to go ahead and get it done now. But as far as his impact early in the year, and especially on like fantasy teams and stuff for redrafts, I wouldn't put a whole lot of faith
Nope.
into him.
But those dynasty, yep, leave him right where he is in dynasty rankings. But yeah, redraft, you might want to drop him.
Yeah, I agree. So Joique Bell is also going to start on the PUP list, which opens a spot for Amir Abdullah to kind of swoop in and at least week one because they're saying Bell, although he's going to start training camp on the PUP, he could miss week one. That's still a big question for them. So, what do you guys think about this one in particular?
I was really high. I've been a Joique Bell fan for a while, but I'm starting to lean. These injuries are pretty serious from what I've been reading. They said the organization is more concerned about him now than they ever have been, and that's not good news. Amir Abdullah is a fantastic running back, and he says that he's not a scat back, but he possibly could be, and the fumbling issues are a really big deal. And if he can't hold on to the football, he's not gonna go anywhere.
Yep. I agree with you there. I like his natural ability. I really liked him at Nebraska. I think he's more than a scat back. But if the fumbling issues are bigger than they're made out to be at this point, then that's going to be a big issue for him trying to get onto the field, especially if Joik Bell is in the picture.
Absolutely.
I think it's. I still like Abdullah though. I like him a lot, probably more than most people.
Well, I feel like Justin, did you get a good look at Abdullah? He's went to college closer to you than us.
Right. Yeah, I've watched him do a lot, and I loved him. I loved him. And then the game against Wisconsin this year, where when Melvin Gordon made him look like nothing. I think Abdullah fumbled in that game 2 or 3 times. Um, and it was just wrong. I'm trying to look up and see how many career fumbles Abdullah has, but I know it's a lot.
Well, I think Melvin Gordon would make anybody look silly that game.
Right.
Yeah.
He'd make anybody look pretty bad. But I don't like Joik Bell at all this year.
I
I'm
don't
a
either.
I'm a bigger believer in Amir Abdullah. I really
Who's
I really do.
Isn't there a third back in Detroit?
Theo Riddick, but he's a Reggie Bush type of guy and who can't really run between the tackles much.
Yeah. So
But if you want a guy who could potentially be good a few weeks early on, fantasy wise, Theo Riddick could be.
yeah, in PPR leagues he could be decent
And
if Bell is out.
Abdullah is really going to be a good PPR back too, for sure.
Yep. I agree. I would probably say he's. I think he and Duke Johnson are really close to me. Um, I don't know. I think I would take Abdullah in the long run, though.
Yeah,
I
right.
agree.
Right now, Duke Johnson's pretty buried.
I don't know. I don't think he is, honestly.
Really? I mean,
I feel like he's more talented than Terrence West, especially Terrence West and Isaiah Crowell.
I don't know. I will have to see, obviously, but I think they. I mean, I'm really puzzled why they drafted him. I think because he fell so far, they felt like they couldn't pass him up. But I don't see how he fits early anyway.
Well, I just. I think he's going to fit Crowell well. I think they'd be a good complement with each other because Johnson is a lot like Lamar Miller. Very similar running backs.
That's fair.
They are more speedy. They're not really guys who are going to bang inside to a certain degree. I mean, they can, but it's not really their specialty. So I think pairing him with Crowell is going to be a nice duo for them. But I still think Johnson in today's NFL is going to be the more valuable back, probably the
I
more
actually
productive
saw
back.
today, I believe, that Terrence West was the starting running back today at training camp. But
Really?
yeah, he was the number one back today. I think that I saw, which kind of surprised me a little bit. But
Surprised to be a lot.
I mean,
I
a lot changes.
I feel like he's going to be buried in the depth chart, but we'll see. That's a whole nother debate outside of the Lions' backfield.
right.
But the final big guy on the PUP list as of now is Jadeveon Clowney.
Right.
So it's really a shame with how his career's gone so far, battling through these injuries. You guys ever think he's going to live up to his potential?
It's so early to say. When you're across J.J. Watt, it opens up a lot for you, makes your job easier. So, I think he's going to have some flexibility, and he's not going to have so much pressure when he does start playing.
Well, he has a lot of pressure in terms of living up to his expectations because he was way overhyped in my opinion. Obviously, he's a fantastic pass rusher, but I don't know if he's ever going to live up to this potential. Nobody knew about him until that big hit against Michigan, and then they saw that, and now everybody's been all over him. I think he can he may not be able to get to a number one overall pick status, but I think he can contribute pretty well down the road. I just hope he gets healthy because that's what he can do.
Yeah, and if you can't do it across J.J. Watt, who can you do it against?
Right, nobody.
So exactly. So it's he has to get healthy. I mean, he's not going anywhere unless he gets healthy. So that's the main question, right? As of now, going into last year's draft, I wouldn't call him overrated, but I was skeptical.
That's where I was kind of leaning towards.
Yeah,
He was a little overhyped a bit.
I knew the hype was too high when on Mike and Mike they discussed whether or not he should play his junior year.
Oh yeah, that's a problem.
Like that's ridiculous.
So, I really don't think he's ever going to be number one pick status. Unfortunately, I don't know if he can overcome the injuries that he has come across so far, because he's been unable to do it so far. And I mean, he had the same injuries in college, so I don't see what's going to really change.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It's sad, but I don't know. I mean, those are really the four main guys dealing with injuries right now. But, three offensive players, one defensive player. I mean, Clowney is a guy who's not going to make any kind of actual, production impact, so you don't have to worry about him from a fantasy standpoint. But the other three, keep your eye on them. Their injuries could halter their ability early in the year.
And there's some news on the better side is the Todd Gurley news that he won't be on the PUP to start the season. So
yeah, and I know you're really high on him.
That's huge news for St. Louis. He's not in the best situation, but when in terms of talent and potential, Gurley is up there as high as it can be. And I'm actually just kind of surprised that he's gotten this healthy this fast. I really hope they don't rush him too much because re-injury is very possible.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I watched him play UGA, and good Lord, that man can run the football.
He is very good. He's very talented. There is no doubting his natural ability. But again, it's like Jadeveon Clowney. If you can't stay healthy, you can't play football.
Was he picked after Melvin Gordon?
No, he was picked 10th overall.
Yep.
That's right.
And Melvin was 17 when the Chargers traded up.
Yep. I think Melvin Gordon's going to be the better back 10 years down the road. And we're looking back at their careers.
I've been watching Melvin Gordon for his whole career up here, and I love that guy. I really do. And I really hope he has a good career because, the Big Ten needs some more recognition for the running backs that we produce. And Melvin Gordon's going to be great, and I think he fits in great with San Diego and all that he does. But the Gurley train, I'm on it. I really am.
See, and just like you've watched a lot of Gordon, I've watched a lot of Gurley down here because we are very close to Athens.
Right.
And this is Georgia country where we are. UGA is everything. I don't like them, but people are in love with UGA here. So I've watched a lot of Gurley, and every week he's always dealing with some kind of injury. It's always something. I mean, he'd get 10 to 15 carries a game maybe, and he's dealing with whatever, an ankle injury. Okay, he's injured going into this week. All right, he's going to be fine. And then second quarter, he's got some kind of other injury he's dealing with. There's he's had the big injuries that have kept him out of games, and then he's always got the little nagging injuries. I know even in the Auburn game, after he got back from his suspension, he goes in, first few plays, he hurts his elbow. So he's got this huge cast on. Third quarter or fourth quarter, tears his ACL. So that's the thing that worries me about Todd Gurley is that was just in college. So how is he going to really handle the beating in the NFL? Trust me, I'd love to see him play well in the NFL. He'd be a lot of fun to watch. He really could be Adrian Peterson-esque.
Yep.
Peterson-esque. He could be. Yeah, Adrian Peterson-esque, but I don't know. I have my concerns. I do, but I certainly hope the best for him.
Yeah, and like I said, I hope they don't. It's great news that he won't be on the PUP to start the year, but I hope they don't rush him into it. And if that means giving Trey Mason the bulk of the carries and giving him working him in slowly with maybe first couple games 3 to 4 carries, then 5 to 7, and then eventually taking over. If that's what it takes, then that's fine. But when you spend a number 10 overall draft pick on somebody with that kind of injury history, you need to approach that with a lot of precaution.
Yep. Yep. Oh yeah. But with Trey Mason there, it's going to be nice for them to not have to totally lean on Todd Gurley.
Right.
That'll be nice for them. But yeah, that pretty much handles all of the big NFL injuries right now, or news around NFL injuries. So we'll go ahead and jump into our off topic for this week to wrap it up, and we're gonna base it off of John Smoltz's Hall of Fame speech. The great Atlanta Braves pitcher went out and said during his speech, mainly the main premise was that he doesn't want parents to force their kids to play one sport, but rather that they should play several sports when they're younger. So, for you guys, maybe either using your experiences or just your opinions, what is your belief?
Go ahead, Cameron.
Honestly, like playing one sport to me just seems like you're wasting your life because I don't know what percentage of kids actually go to college to play a sport, but it's a fraction. And I think a lot of the times these parents are putting pressure on kids to go and only play and focus on one sport. And that's just a problem because it's actually better for your body to play multiple sports so you don't injure yourself from overusing a muscle. And also, you get to experience different sports. Like, if I only played baseball my whole life, I would have never discovered basketball. And I like playing basketball more than baseball. It's just a thing I never would have known. And I think kids should play more than one sport for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I feel like we're all going to agree on this, but I would say playing several sports, especially when you're younger, maybe elementary to middle school age, I think you have to play several sports.
Right.
If it interests you, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to say you force your kids to play other sports if they don't like them, but I think it really the different sports can teach you different things about not only sportsmanship or uh, knowledge about sports, things you can use in sports, but really things you can use in life. Just life lessons, teamwork, camaraderie. Um,
Learning how to work for something.
yeah, a work ethic. Just and especially in like a sport like football is the big one where you can learn so many things that you can utilize in other facets of your life. That if you really just limit yourself to one sport as a 10-year-old, I mean, come on.
No.
How much is how much is playing just that one sport really going to help you? Because trust me, I have I've seen it before, um, and I can totally understand it. That person will be burned out by the time they get to high school or by the time they get to college. I can guarantee you that. Unless they are absolutely infatuated with that sport, that's the only sport they ever want to play. If you force a kid to play just baseball his entire life, it's going to get really old really fast.
And another point I'd like to make, I feel like if your kid is playing one sport at the age of 10, it sounds to me like it's you're trying to live your past dream, and it sounds like it's your dream and not his or hers. You don't want it to be. It sounds like you just want him to play one sport and get really good at that and focus on that, rather than letting him or her choose and decide what they want to play when they're young. I mean, I think we can all agree that when they're younger, that you need to try different sports. You can't just play one. And when you get older, then when things get started serious, you figure out what sports you're good at, what sports you like. Then when you get to high school and college, you can start thinking about, well, maybe I should focus on this or that. But I agree there that I think the parents should expose their kids to many different sports when they're younger.
Yeah, I think by the time high school age, you can kind of cut it back to one. Uh, but if you're only playing one sport from when you're little to all the way through high school, you're just gonna burn out, like Hayes said.
Yeah.
And I actually know somebody who had a D1 basketball scholarship offer and passed it up because he was just burned out of basketball because he just played it his
Yep.
whole life, and he was like, I don't want to go. I
Yep.
don't want to go live the dream that I had for my whole life because I just can't play a sport anymore.
That's just really sad too. It just is.
Yeah, it is. That's a shame. But does not shock me at all because I've seen it as well. I've seen parents who have forced sports on their kids who have basically made them play it only in order to try and get a college scholarship, and I don't think that's true at all. I think there's a difference between playing a sport for a while and then playing only that sport for a while. Like you can, and I agree with Cam here, is once you get to high school, I think is where you make the decision whether you want to play multiple sports still or whether you want to focus in on one sport. If you get to that age and you realize there's a legitimate shot that you can play a sport at the collegiate level, then you can go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to focus in on this sport because I know it's a possibility. When you're 10 years old, you have no idea how you're going to progress, how you're going to go through puberty and how much you'll develop with your athleticism. So I think by the time you're 15, 16, I mean, that's really the time I started to get very serious about golf, at least. That's I think I stopped playing basketball after my ninth grade year because I just realized, I'm not playing basketball in college. Golf, I can. I really know I can play golf in college, so that's what I'm going to focus on and spend my time on. So I think it's a decision the kid has to make more so than the adult.
And also, with this debate, that's why it makes so ridiculous when eighth graders are getting scholarship offers for colleges.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like
That
they're
is
in eighth grade. Like they could not grow another inch. They could be 5'4", and you offer them a scholarship.
Oh yeah. That really irks me. That makes no sense at all because for one, you don't know how the kid's going to develop in the next 2 to 4 years. That's just first off. Second off, then the kid's just going to get lazy because he knows he's already got a scholarship. So what are you going to really work for? I mean, what's there to look forward to? What's there to
Yeah.
play for, really? I mean, obviously you want to play to win, but also there's no ultimate goal for you. You've already gotten the scholarship when you're in eighth grade. You're basically just playing out, trying not to get injured.
Yeah. And that's when you get injured. Well, trying not to get injured.
Yeah. Yeah, anything else you guys got to say about this?
Nope. I think I'm good to go.
We touched on a lot of important things, and I think that's good. I just wanted to make sure that parents don't make their kids' dreams their own and turn it into something. They're forcing them to play this or that, and they get upset when they don't want to play something or they don't play well. Sports, it's just a game, really. And that's a simple phrase we got to remember, but just them having them play one sport for their own benefit, I think is just wrong, in my opinion. And that's my 2 cents on that. And I just think playing a lot of sports when you're young is fun, and you get to learn so many different skills and so many different attributes that you wouldn't get in different sports. And I really think it's just the right way to play a couple more sports than just one when you're younger.
Yeah, and it becomes something where you can utilize the skills you've learned in other sports and into the sport that you're mainly focused on. I know
Absolutely.
a lot of
Yeah.
people have talked about that, using football skills in basketball or vice versa, things of that nature. So
And we all know all the great NFL players that played basketball before. You talk about like Jimmy Graham and Antonio Gates and players like that. So,
yep,
Yep.
exactly, yep.
all the football players who want to play baseball, Russell Wilson and the greatest athlete of all time, Bo Jackson. So,
Yeah.
Deion Sanders as well. So yeah, it's something where you can do both of them. You can play multiple sports at high levels if you are gifted athletically like that. or you focus in on one sport when you get to the high school ranks. I think that's fair. But we'll agree here. When you're in middle school and elementary school, go out and play multiple sports.
Live it up. Just
There's
enjoy it.
yeah, enjoy life. Get the
Go try a
full,
sport you never thought you'd want to try.
yeah.
Go try it. Maybe it's your calling.
Go try out lacrosse. Go try out soccer.
Golf,
Go
tennis.
try out golf. Go
Yeah,
try
I
out
was gonna
golf.
say.
Start early.
Yeah, there we
Start
go.
early.
Please go out and try golf. It's a lot of fun and it's very angering, but
One of the
It's
few
not as
sports
boring
you
as it is on TV.
it really isn't. It's like baseball. It's a lot more fun to play than to watch. So,
Yeah.
especially with friends. Get some friends out there. Get out there, whack that little white ball, and have a good old time.
Keep that front arm straight, kids.
What else? What else is some smaller sports? Let's see. Maybe I don't know. We should get cricket maybe a little bigger here in the U.S.
Mixed martial arts. Go punch some people in the face.
Uh,
Wrestling,
Wrestling.
darts,
Darts.
darts.
ping pong.
Yeah, there you go. Ping pong.
No, you
I
got
love ping pong.
table tennis. Let's be kind.
Hey,
Let's
what about video game sports? Esports.
esports. Oh man.
We fit.
Hey man, I'm a beast at Wii Fit.
Yoga.
Actually, no, I'm really terrible at Wii. I'm better at real sports than at Wii Sports. I'm really bad at that for some reason. I don't know why. Did you say yoga?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know if that's considered a sport quite yet.
You never know. There
Make
know
it a
they-
sport.
They consider fishing a sport.
Oh, and NASCAR, but we won't get there either.
Yeah,
Hey, go try fantasy football.
Hey.
yeah, there you go. That's coming from us fantasy football nerds out there. Go try fantasy football out. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. It's very addicting. So it's like legal cocaine. So,
Oops.
but it's actually good for you, I think.
So, what did we learn from today's podcast? I think to really wrap this up would be fantasy football is cocaine.
Legal cocaine.
Legal cocaine.
And actually good for you. It's not like the bad effects. It's like it's a legal high. Let's go with that.
It may cause some stress, but other than that, it's pretty good for you.
A little stress is good for you, right?
Yeah, probably.
Just means you care, I guess. Yeah. Well, as far as what we have learned on this podcast, we learned that NFL, a lot of NFL stuff. We talked about a lot of NFL stuff today, finally, which is a good thing because football is finally coming back. Tom Brady is currently suspended for 4 games. That probably will turn into like nothing at the end of the day. I don't know. We'll see if the NFL actually continues to rule with an iron fist. It's a nice change, but we'll see if Tommy Terrific finally gets his way in federal court. Le'Veon Bell is going to get only 2 games instead of 3 games, so that'll help the Steelers out a little bit. Adrian Peterson's delusional. Sheldon Richardson's, Sheldon
More
Richardson.
delusional.
We have some big NFL injuries that are could have some ramifications down the road that you got to consider. And then play several sports, kids. If you're listening to our podcast and you're about 10 years old and you're a little bloke out there, go play several sports. It's a real joy. We love sports here at Young Speak Sports, and it's been fun, this podcast, having some new special guests while our normal staff members have gone MIA on vacation here. I'm really starting to get concerned about them. We might actually need to get a call out for them. So
No, I really appreciate it, Hayes. Thanks for having me on. This is
I had a lot of fun. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, no, it's been good, guys. So take it easy, folks. It's been good here at Young Speak Sports.